right, we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Took me a minute to get myself together, guys, after Candace's show. Sorry, we're running late. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, Martha. Happy, what is it, Wednesday? Hi, Julie. Hey, guys. I hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. I know. I had people messaging me. They were like, "Where are you?" But I was running behind. I was trying to do house fire stuff. I have inventory that I finished for it, and I had to now I have to total stuff up, and it's just a whole thing. So sorry, guys, I was running late. Do laundry, cook dinner, the whole nine before I got on here. Dan Bongino resigned? What? When did that happen? Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Man, he's probably trying to distance himself from all this craziness because all this is so bizarre, you know? So glad you watched and we're recapping because yeah, I think a lot of people yesterday took y y she should have come back the way she came back today yesterday. I think it would have helped her, but I also think that she needed to, like, I don't know, you guys, she needed to breathe a minute. There's a lot. I just think there's too much, and I think TPUSA did that to her on purpose. They wanted her to look bad. She was damned if she did, damned if she didn't. Today, his office was cleaned out already, I'm sure. Yeah, that's true about, Pam Petty needs to resign. Thank you for emotional support. Yes. Yes. Isn't it crazy? And that's why I told everybody yesterday. I'm like, guys, we just need to pray about it. Don't put your faith in one person. Like, breathe. I just felt like everyone needs, like, we're getting into the holidays. Everyone's stressed out. People are getting sick. There's just too much going on. Like, everyone just needed to, like, chill, you know? And everyone needs to allow people to, like, collect themselves. I was talking with Kristen earlier because I think a lot of us were upset with Candace yesterday, or like we didn't like the private conversation and stuff. So when Chris and I were talking earlier, I was like, listen, as women, like I've gone into situations where I'm so mad and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get in there. I'm going to tell this person, da 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 da. And then I get in front of like my girlfriend, and the next you know, it's like we're best friends all over again. And I, instead of like having that like the whole script that you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna really tell this person," then you get in there and then it's not how you act, like that happens, and you have to, like, digest what someone says, and I'm sure there were things that she wanted to double, triple check before she talked about because these are big accusations, these are big things, like, she wasn't just gonna come out and I think lay everything out yesterday, so I don't but then again, if she took the break and said, "Hey, guys, I need a day to reflect on the conversation," would people have handled that well? I don't know that they woulda did that, so let's see. You're taking your kids to the TPUSA AmFest this year. We are excited to see comedian Russell Brand. He's been, oh boy. Hmm. I didn't know that about Russell Brand. Let's see. The feds weren't even going to let the surgeon clean Charlie up before Rico got there, or Erica got there. Yes, that was bizarre. The car pictures were weird. The Harpool thing is weird. The flights are interesting. Yeah. It's okay. You said, "Oops, Erica." I knew what you were talking about. Candace won't stop. Charlie was her real friend. I didn't think she was gonna stop. I could tell yesterday that, like, I wanted people to just understand to, like, not rely so much on one person, breathe. People need time to digest stuff. It was just too much. Yesterday was like everyone was I don't know what was in the water yesterday, but people were out of their minds, I felt like. Let's see. Oh, I'm good. Hold on, guys. What is that? Oh, no, that was okay. So today we're going to kind of talk about the Candace stuff, and then we'll do a recap on the Rob Reiner case really quick. We'll do like a little update. Let's see. So, I'm good. I trust Jesus. Candace is up against something we have no idea about. It was drastic change, and that's telling. Yeah, she definitely had more energy today. She had a better demeanor, I felt like. More pep in her step, more drive. I think she was just drained. She was better, but was really annoyed of her, thinking anyone who criticized her is a robot. That's super irritating. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people appreciated that comment, but there's so many BOTs out there now. You never know. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, guys. Really, what does Candace do for the not so fortunate with all her millions? Well, Ian, she can't please everybody. I don't know. I mean, just because she's a millionaire doesn't mean she owes it to anybody else. I mean, it's nice to do nice things for other people, but she doesn't owe the world. Like, I don't know. Who are we to tell her what to do with her money? She was ramped up and nervous yesterday. Yeah, I think she looked drained yesterday. There was just something. I don't know. Something about her where it was just, you could tell she wasn't really feeling it. Let's see. Learn to critically think for yourself. Don't rely on these cult of personalities. I hope that you're having a wonderful evening, Nicole, and everyone here. God bless y'all. Yes, God bless everybody. Everyone needs to think for themselves. I don't tell people how to think. That's not my job. Let's see. I'm not sure if he's headlining, but he is definitely speaking. He's on the roster, okay. Or the poster, sorry. Let's see. At Patriotic Housewife, the frangible ammo info from the doctor. Oh, hey, Trigger Smart. Trigger Smart's in here. Welcome in. Frangible ammo info from the doctor actually makes the 30-06 much more reasonable. Thoughts on this steel neck comment being made up by Colvette? So my husband's prior military, and no matter what, he said a 30-06 is absolutely not happening. My husband was in the military for 8 years, went to went on 2 different tours, Iraq, Afghanistan, 10 months each. I still don't think it's a 30-06. I just don't think that's possible. Do you guys remember when Colvette first put that tweet up? And Alex Jones I don't know if he was on X Live or he went on Instagram Live, and he was like, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." And I believe Andrew Colvette called him and was like, "Can you take that down?" or something like that. Um, I don't know. I don't believe it. I kind of feel like everything's being thrown on Colvette a little bit, is like a scapegoat a little bit. I don't know. Well, first off, HEPA, my medical background, you can't just give anybody information. I don't foresee any doctor just giving medical reports to just anybody and talking to anyone about injuries without Erica's permission. Because Charlie was obviously not alive to sign HEPA forms and say who can get that information. So personally, I just believe unless Erica gave him the okay to talk to the surgeon, I don't know. That would be a huge HEPA violation. Yeah. Yeah. So if Erica, that's what I'm saying. So Erica would be his power of attorney, the next of kin. So if she did not give the okay for Colvette to speak to the surgeon's not going to speak to Colvette. And quite honestly, I don't know if a surgeon would even speak to Colvette after speaking with Erica. Maybe because of Charlie being, Charlie and well known. Maybe if she said, "Hey, listen, his friend has questions. Can you talk to him? He's our PR, whatever. I give you permission." Then yeah, but no surgeon is going to just give out that information. HEPA is a huge, huge thing. So but I also don't think Colvette would just run off and type that up just 'cause. So I think that's weird. I think it's weird. I also think it's weird that Brian Harpool doesn't work there anymore. And, you know, I don't know. That whole thing is bizarre. Like now we're finding out he doesn't work there anymore, but he did the Sean Ryan show. They said he didn't know that they didn't know he was doing the Sean Ryan show, which I don't believe that either. And Trigger Smart, isn't it been proven that he was still protecting Erica even after the Sean Ryan show? I think I saw, wasn't that was in Coach Collins' video today, I think. And so that didn't add up either. It just seems like they're, yes, Trigger Smart, yeah. I feel like they're trying to throw people under the bus now. So now the protection is, now we have to start throwing some of this on other people to save ourselves. That's what it looks like. That way it's just not all on TPUSA. I don't know. Dan and Brian protected her for a while, but I think both are now fired. Well, we know Dan is off of the TPUSA website, and then Brian's not on there. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. It just, I feel like there's now going to be fall guys. So there's people that they're going to blame. Somebody's got to take the blame. TPUSA doesn't want to take the blame. So it's probably, yeah, that's what I was going to say, Trigger Smart, that Brian was contracted. He talked about that in the Sean Ryan interview. Trigger Smart, do you think that, I'm curious to see, do you think that that they didn't know Brian was going on the Sean Ryan show? I don't believe that for 5 minutes. How would they not know that? I don't think he's just going to go there and get on the Sean Ryan show and start talking, especially with the gag order. Can we talk about the gag order? Like, does the gag order really exist? That's like the number one question. If I could ask, I want to ask, because we are doing a whole lot of talking when it's convenient. And then a whole lot of like, oh, there's a gag order. Sorry, it'll ruin the whole investigation when it's convenient. I've never seen a gag order used at convenience like this. It's really, really bizarre. Exactly. What gag order? I don't think it exists. I really don't. Absolutely bizarre. Between gag order, let's see, between gag orders and ongoing investigation, if he did do it on his own, he is going to get sued. Yeah. I just don't think who would be that stupid? I hate to even say that, but I you mean to tell me he has his own contracted security firm and he would do that? I don't know. We interviewed Andrew Parisi, I can never pronounce last name, last night, and he said there is no official gag order and he isn't under one, and he was right there. I did not watch that interview, but I'm going to watch that tonight before bed. Are you serious? So why? Okay, so supposedly everyone in the audience, and Trigger Smart, I don't know if you saw this either. There was a guy who went on TikTok and he was like planting a plant. I don't know if you guys saw this, and he was talking while he was planting the plant. And he said that they used facial recognition for everyone in the crowd. And then they showed up at his house after they figured out who he is. And they told him, like, you can't share any footage you have. You can't talk, blah, blah, blah. There's a gag order. Anyone who was there is a part of this gag order. And then when they had the court hearing, that was part of like what the attorneys were talking about, was that they have so much social media, like to comb through, so many different videos to comb through, and the gag order will continue to add names to it as they go. Do you guys remember that? So I'm very, very confused. Trigger Smart, we should have had you on so you and I could talk about this, because this is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can't believe this. I think many in Utah, and especially those there that day, all agree with the official story, it seems. Yeah, but then we also had a lot of people saying too that there was not a lot of students. It was a lot of adults and families. It didn't seem like it was UVU students. So I don't know. If he's not busy and he wants to jump on, I could probably uh, send him a link. I think, yeah, I can. If Trigger Smart, if you want to come on, I can always send you a link if you want to hop on for a minute. I watch his stuff. He's got a lot of good stuff. If you guys don't follow him, he's done some great work. I really enjoyed even the Allegeist interview. And I really believe that Charlie's gone, but it was compelling information. We'll see if he'll hop on, guys. I know he's got his own channel, his own schedule. Everyone is so busy. The holidays are approaching. But if he wants to, I'll send him a link and he can hop on. That would be cool. Feds are preventing the doctor from going back to the OR. Well, and like Candace said, there was a lot of firsts and lasts, right? There was like first time for this, and then it was the last time too. It was really, really crazy. I love you both. Are believers of Christ. Yes, Christ is king. He's the only way. I just this whole thing is bizarre. I'm so glad Candace came back with the energy she came back with today. She seemed refreshed, collected, you know. And two, imagine having all of that pressure, even though you have things written down, to sit in front of Erica. I'm sure it changes when you sit in front of the person that was married to your best friend. You're both trying to go through your own grieving process and accept that this is reality. Then on top of it, you have all these different questions. I think both of them are scared. Candace has a hit out on her. She's got 4 children to worry about. There's just so many different things going at once. So many things. Can't believe that you people doubted her. John, I don't think people doubted her. I think that Candace has always talked about transparency. Transparency is key. We have to be transparent. And so when the meeting happened privately, I just don't think it sat well with people. It wasn't about doubting her. Like, I never doubted her. I just said that at the end of the day, it's whatever God has planned. I put my faith in God. All of my eggs are in one basket with the Lord, period. We're all just people. All we can do is do the right thing, share information, keep talking about the case, and that's it. Let's see. People wouldn't have been satisfied unless Erica showed everything. No matter what way this went, people were going to be mad. That's the problem. I don't think there was ever a way to make everybody happy. Transparency was going to, Erica wasn't probably going to do that. So then if Candace shut the interview down, it would have been, oh, well, Candace said that she would always meet with Erica, and she didn't. Did you guys see the live that Candace did on TikTok last night? Did anybody see that? She like never goes live on TikTok or anything, but she went live on TikTok last night and answered more questions. Hang on, Trigger Smart's messaging me. Okay, Trigger Smart is going to join us, guys. Hold on. Let me get this link. Hold on. We're gonna add him into here. Okay. So hold on. Give me a minute. Trigger Smart's gonna come in and talk with us for a little bit. Hold on, guys. Sorry. I didn't hang on. Uno momento, por favor. There's my Spanish, guys. It's not good. All right, hold on. Let me get this so he can join us. Hold on. Okay, guys, hold on one second. Mm-mm-mm. What on earth is my thing doing here? Hold on, guys. Sorry, we're trying to get this done get us together for us. Hold on. I gotta send it over and then we'll be rocking and rolling, guys. All right, hold on. I just gotta let him know I sent it. All right, guys, hold on. Let me get the dog out. All right, so he's gonna jump on here any minute. I sent him the link. We'll wait for him to join us, guys. And we'll see what he says because he's done a lot of good interviews that I haven't even been able to keep up with. So it should be sent over. Oh, here he is. Okay. Hello. Thank you for hopping on.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I gotta watch your new interview. So what was your last interview about?
So it was Andrew Ferrazzi, and he was remember the whole like Jimmy Dore, the cameraman shot him theory?
Yeah.
He was the cameraman behind him, like to his rear right.
Okay.
And to this day, he's still getting death threats. I mean, he's just going through all kinds of stuff. So he wanted to come on again and tell his story and try to like clear some of the air.
Uh-huh.
And
my
some think
gosh.
he did, and some think he's still the one.
You know, that's the one. Didn't he go on a previous podcast, like in the very beginning, something wild?
Yes.
So this is the same one, the fireman. I think he's a fireman, part time or something, or
I'm not sure if he is, but I think he does photography and videography full time.
Oh, he is doing that full time now. So for you guys that don't know, there was a photographer that his friend worked at TPUSA. They were looking, I think, for an additional photographer, was it, Matt? And then they brought him on for, I think, the first 3 campus tours or stops. And so he was his first day that day when all this happened. And he was one of the people in the images.
Yep. Yeah. He said last night that he was contracted for multiple and he was trying to get a full-time gig. That's kind of why he was doing it.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was outside of the company is a little strange to me because typically a multi-million-dollar company is going to have their own photographer and videographer on staff.
Right.
And sometimes they contract out on location, but he contracted out of a different state. So I thought that was all very interesting. But I mean, he seems pretty genuine. You know, I don't feel like there's anything nefarious there, but people are still roasting him pretty bad.
That's terrible. So when I watched him on that podcast, I swear it was like in the first week.
It was a week after.
Yeah. And I was telling my friend Kristen about it, and I said the same thing. I said, I think he's genuine. I think he just had a friend that happened to work there. She was trying to help him out, like, hey, they're looking for some help. And he was a huge fan of Charlie's, and he, was super excited. And he was even saying that he barely even got to meet Charlie. Like, he didn't get to meet Charlie for the interview or anything. I know a lot of people too have this misconception that like Charlie had to know everybody working there. And that's not true. I think Charlie was always on the road, always doing a podcast. The man didn't have time to know every single person that was hired in there. So I feel so bad for him because he really is I think he's very genuine.
I mean, he even took his camera apart to show there wasn't a gun inside. Like on the stream, he's popping it open, showing you can see through the glass and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are telling me he has like 6 different cameras and some are guns and some are, decoys. I mean, people are just really reaching.
I think that this is the problem with the lack of transparency and why people attack Candace so bad yesterday, because there's been so much lack of transparency. There's a ton of lies. And at this point, it's getting disgusting. And unfortunately, everyone is so desperate for the truth because we know we don't have it. And this is what happens is that everyone is looking at every single person that is doing a normal hand gesture or movement or doing their job. And they're like, well, and then it's his first day on the job. Everyone's looking at everything that looks odd. You know what I mean? Because everything was so new that day. It's weird.
Well, I think the information today, like the frangible round, the doctor
Mhm.
not saying that he had a steel neck, that was Andrew bringing that up, making up his own story, his own narrative. He's the PR guy.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, you're not sure why, maybe like people are trying to use him as a fall guy, but the way he's acting is making him an easy target.
It is, and I don't think the scrubbing of the social media has helped anybody, and turns out someone told me that Mikey's was scrubbed. So now someone went back and checked, and Mikey's ex, well, one only goes back to, like, November 7th or something. So it's like, if you're not guilty of anything, why are you trying to hide stuff? It's the same concept where if my husband died and people said, "You murdered your husband," or "You were on the phone," I would have picked up my phone and showed the world my phone records and my phone and ended that right then and there. So why months later now, what was the big deal now for Erica to have to fly there just to give phone records that, in my opinion, are so easily to falsify? I mean, you could make a fake phone record so easily. Basically looks like a Word document when you print them out.
Yeah. I mean, the phone law, basically anything that anyone presents,
Mhm.
including Candace.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I tell people all the time, you just don't know. You just have to be like, use your discernment, and genuinely you can look at somebody, and at least me, I can get a feel by looking at someone if they're a decent person or not. That's just me. And you trim off the fat, you keep the meat, and you got to just decipher for yourself what you think is fact and what you think isn't. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I don't know. And did you hear Dan Bongino step down today, supposedly? I don't know how true that is. I have to
It-
look at it. I didn't
no,
know
it's
that.
true.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, he had some official statements. So his last day is going to be January 1st.
What did he say? Did they give a reason?
Nope. But everyone's saying they think that he isn't helping them in their narrative strong enough, or maybe he has some internal personal issues making him not want to do what the things they're asking him to do. So now he wants to go
Mhm.
back to his show and get back to an easier life.
Oh, boy. That's not a good look at all right there. And I didn't know what to make of Dan, because I feel like Dan has been very much away from the cameras, whereas we've only seen Cash.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, I was like, I don't know what to think of Dan, if Dan's involved or not. To me, Cash has been something about him. He just doesn't seem. I just don't trust him anymore. I don't know. I'm disappointed. I liked Cash. I was excited for him to be the director of the FBI, and I don't know. I don't think he's delivering on many fronts of that. So Dan stepping down it's kind of it's making me really nervous. There's something going on there, I think.
Yeah, it's like the swamp's winning, right? That was their whole thing, is drain the swamp. And now the people that said they were going to do that are being either let go or they're stepping down.
The thing is with the draining the swamp, I also believe that it's deeper than we all anticipated, right? These are people that have been, and I try to explain it to people too. There's a lot of people who have been in power for a very long time. It didn't get like this overnight. It didn't get like this from one president. This is years and years and years in the making. And so people getting mad and being quick to blame one person, there's so many moving parts to this. I do think the three-letter agencies are all sketch. I'm not a fan of any of them. I don't know that any of them have been genuine for a long time. Not like the old school FBI, the old school CIA. Um,
Well, you look at people like Benny Johnson, and he's a part of the establishment, right? Like he's right up there
mhm,
with Trump and all these guys. He's friends with Cash Patel. He
mhm,
says it on his show almost daily. I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust the CIA.
mhm.
And his friend runs it.
I don't know. I've never been a fan of Benny Johnson. I don't know why. I never have. I do not like that everyone is using Charlie's name to advance themselves. I feel like everyone is now his friend or his best friend, and it's like Charlie, 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 and it's like Graham Allen. I used to like him. And do you remember right after Charlie passed away and Rob McCoy put out that Instagram message where he said, "Candace, I think, you need to let people grieve, and, Charlie wouldn't do this to you," type stuff. And David Harris Jr., Graham Allen, they were so quick to hop on that train of attacking her. David Harris Jr. cropped Candace out of a picture of them in a car traveling because their flights got canceled and they had to get in a car and travel together. And he cropped Candace's face out. So it's like him and Charlie and whoever else was on this like tour. And I was like, this is so petty. Why are these guys after her? And then come to find like Graham Allen has like a relationship with PragerU. And there's just, you start looking into the background of some of these people and it's like, I don't like this. And then it's like nothing to see here. Stop asking questions. Don't use your brain. Don't critical think. It's weird. It's weirdly weird.
I didn't know if the whole like paid off influencer thing was an actual legitimate thing. And then Project Constitution, this was when everyone kind of did that big push against Candace,
Mhm.
just like a week ago or like a week and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But he pulled like, what was it, like 20 or 30 different accounts that basically all posted the same thing at the same time,
Mhm.
like in synchronization.
Yep.
So, I mean, clearly that's a real thing. But like this, everyone keeps saying, have you heard the $7,000 payment yet? Have
Yes,
you had-
I've heard about that. Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know anyone who hasn't gotten that in their comments yet. Like, how's your $7,000 payment? Doesn't matter what you say. You could be,
So go ahead.
yeah. So like, even like someone in here when I first came in was saying I was a Fed. Let's see, where's that?
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean,
Everyone says that about everybody.
yeah. Well,
Everyone's a Fed.
that's what someone else said in my chat. They're like, yeah, everyone but me is a Fed. That's the way people are treating stuff nowadays because no one trusts anyone. They don't trust the government.
Well, that's what happens when you're lied to. But what I have to ask you your opinion. What do you think about Paramount Tactical and him going on TPUSA's little live that they weren't even supposed to have? What is your opinion of that whole situation?
So initially, he was the one that really said that like he had a bulletproof vest on, right? And his
Yep, I
theory was that
remember
it
that.
bounced off and went into his neck and all this kind of stuff. So really, he was kind of the original conspiracy theorist, if you
Right.
think about it that way. And now he's completely flipped, and he's saying the FBI narrative is the only one that's correct, and all these conspiracy theories, they're just trying to make money off of it and everything else. Yet he was making a bunch of money off the initial conspiracy theories and stuff he was making up initially.
Mhm.
Now, the fact that he had Brian Harple on for a second interview that very much mimicked the original, right? He
Mhm.
gave him a gift like Sean Ryan does. He had the
Yep.
same type of setup like Sean Ryan does. He had the
Mhm.
paper with the question. I mean, it's like he was trying to do an exact copy of it, and that
Mhm.
one fell flat. But it seems like I don't want to say he's paid off or something, but he
Mhm.
seems like he's definitely part of the collusion to push that story. And the fact that he went on TPUSA and he went on, what was it, Elizabeth Wheeler or Liz Wheeler or something?
I think that's her name, yeah.
Yeah, typically when you see someone doing a circuit like that,
Mhm.
then they're part of something. So I'm not saying he's crooked, but it's very strange that he's all of a sudden getting all this limelight and being pulled into all these different, very large platforms.
Yeah, so when I got into this realm, I didn't know Paramount Tactical, I didn't know anybody. And so when I first started along with this, I started following Paramount, Valhalla, Ian Carroll. I had followed Candace, but from the gate, Paramount Tactical really was always with the narrative for the most part. And then when he went out to UVU, I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna like entertain this and approach it fairly. And then he was with Stephen Gardner. And then when he came back, it was not that. Do you remember he had the markers on the top of the roof and the you could see the hands like sliding off almost like it
Yeah.
was dust. And I was like, they showed a video of them power washing that. So how is that still there if you power washed it? I mean, it was laughable. I was like, "Okay, fine. This is a hill, so if someone walks past it, they disappear and drop off. Okay, so we know that probably wasn't edited." But after that, I stopped following him because every show was just it seemed very disingenuous.
Well, now he's 100% all in against Candace,
Well, he
right?
has to be now, right?
Yeah, like his
After
last
that?
like 3 or 4 guests have been like, how can we try and discredit Candace? So it's kind of strange. Like I get if he doesn't like her. I get if he really truly believes it's that narrative and that kind of stuff. But the fact that he's pushing so hard into it and now is on Liz Wheeler and TPUSA, that is strange to me.
Yeah, it is to me too. And I also really like Valhalla. And he, a couple days ago, I think it was a couple days ago, he did a video and he said, Gary's my friend. I like Gary. We don't always agree on everything, which is normal. That's life. But yesterday, people were in his chat saying, like, what do you think about the fact that he went with TPUSA? And he said, well, I didn't talk to Gary about it before it happened, but I don't think that was a good idea. And now you're aligning yourself fully with TPUSA. Now you've picked a side.
Yeah.
So, and publicly. So, I don't know. I know that Paramount went live yesterday. I didn't watch anything. I'm curious what his own following thinks of all of this.
Based on what I saw initially, it looks like I don't know if his following is smaller, but his views
Mhm.
are definitely lower. So
Okay.
I mean, significantly lower than they were when all this started. He was kind of like researching into stuff. And now that he's
Mhm.
pushing this one narrative, which now let me play devil's advocate. I do think, depending on the situation, that there
Mhm.
may be something to the narrative if they can prove that Tyler Robinson actually pulled the trigger. There may be something to the way that he died, but everything around it and who
Mhm.
organized it, who paid for it, who recruited Tyler Robinson,
Mhm.
if he is the shooter, that is the part that is sketchy, right?
Mhm.
So, based on the frangible ammo and some other stuff, there might be something to the fact that he got shot from the front by this kid, right?
Okay.
But everything else around it is still very sketchy, and it almost seems like a government cover up, unfortunately.
To me, it seems like a government cover up completely from everything that we're seeing. I have a feeling it's not even just necessarily one, I'll just say entity that had a hand in this. I think probably a couple countries, and it was obviously agreed upon. And there's several working parts to how they get away with this, right? It can't just be whoever was behind the reasoning and who made that decision, but also the cover up. Several people are at play here, and I don't even know. I'm shocked that he actually took a stand like that. I thought it was a terrible. I mean, I was like, you could. I hope you enjoyed the 15 minutes, 18 minutes that you did this interview with them, because I don't know how many people are going to support you after that. And my stance is always show the evidence. I think you approach it the same. You show the evidence. You do an interview and let people decide for themselves. I'm not
Yeah.
here to tell anybody how to think. I'm here to show you the information, say, "Hey, look at this. This is my opinion. What do you guys think? Do what you want with it." And
I
it
try to show
seems like
both. Oh, go
huh?
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I try and show both sides. So, like for
Mhm,
example, like with the electrocution theory, I did videos on why I thought it was 100% BS, and then I
mhm,
did a video a couple days ago. It's a long video, but
mhm,
basically like it is plausible that it could have
mhm.
happened, right? But I still don't see burnt hands when I look at those pictures. But we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see.
So what do
Baird.
you think happened? What is your personal opinion? And you actually well, obviously you have a background with firearms. So what is your personal opinion?
So based on everything I've seen, there's two theories that are the front runners. One is now this is obviously these are just theories, right? So I'm not
Mhm.
like this is a fact,
Yeah.
but the like fake the death El Guy's theory where he shot into the trunk or something similar
Mhm.
is one
Okay.
because there's no holes in the theory, right?
Okay.
There's no spots where I can obviously be like, no, that didn't happen, or that audio forensics analysis doesn't add up, right?
Mhm.
Everything's in place, so that's theoretically possible. And then the other one
Mhm.
is the FBI narrative with frangible ammo. So the two of those to me make the most sense of everything else. There's people talking about like mosquito drones flying into his neck
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
being shot by the camera from behind and different things. Like, could that stuff happen with the technology that's out and available? Theoretically, yes.
Right.
But you don't see anything to really support that in the videos.
Right. I was not with the Charlie Kirk is still alive thing. I will give you this though. I watched that interview with Allegeist. People were telling me, "You gotta watch it." And I said, "Well, I'll watch it." I said, "It's not gonna change how I feel probably." And afterwards, I was like, "It's pretty compelling." I mean, there's some I was walking away from that and I was like, "I might need to see my psychiatrist maybe," because I couldn't even believe it because he's so intelligent and he does have a good breakdown. It was a really great interview. And the information, if you guys haven't watched it, you guys should. I'm not saying this is for sure, but it was one of those where I was like,
It's compelling.
I mean, I have to admit when I walked away, I was like, "Oh, no." Like, I hope that I love Charlie Kirk, but at this point, if he was alive and traumatized the whole world, I'd be really I'm gonna be pissed because they could have did that a different way. Why did they have to traumatize the public like that? But Allgei's did a really good case on that. The electrocution thing, I didn't really know what to make of it. I talked with Allie, and I think she did great work. I think she's been very, like, thorough in trying to, like, comb through the footage and figure out, like, and she genuinely wants answers. So I really appreciate, like, the work she's done. But I don't know if I fully think that. I still think for some reason, did you see the video Range Day, bro did where he put the dummy in the chair and he went and got, at the elevation he
Yeah.
needed to be, but he was, like, kinda too parallel with the dummy?
Yeah.
Everything did kinda react similar to Charlie.
Well, and so
I
did the one that, what was it? Dr. Martinson from
Yes.
Peak Prosperity. I
Mhm.
mean, he same thing. You know, he shot the dummy, you see everything expand, the chains break in
Mhm.
both cases.
Yep.
So, like I said, I mean, based on the evidence, those are the 2 that make the most sense to me, including the FBI official narrative. What I don't know if I believe is
Mhm.
why he did it, who was behind him, and that kind of stuff. I don't think he acted alone. So there's much more to that story. But like you said, everything that we see in the reaction
Mhm.
from these tests from Range Day Bro and Dr. Martinson are consistent with
Mhm.
what we saw when Charlie got hit.
Mhm. And I think Range Day Bro even said, like, he really wanted to do, like, a second video, and I don't know if he's gonna do it because I know the dummies are expensive for that, especially if you want it to be very similar to a person. Like,
It can
I
be a
heard they're,
couple
like,
$1,000 each.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
crazy. And, he did say he was too parallel, but once he got up there, he's like, "Well, you're up there, you got it all set up." So, I thought it was interesting with even him just being too parallel versus a little bit more behind, at how similar everything still went. It was a really, really good video. I mean, both of them did great with their work.
So a
So
lot of people are asking about frangible ammo. So the frangible ammo is not a theory. It's something that Candace was talking about today, saying that the doctor had actually told people that he thought that Charlie was hit by frangible ammo. And what it is it's just ammo that busts into a bunch of different pieces when it hits something. That's all it is.
mhm,
So think of a typical bullet, as it's flying through, it's
mhm,
penetrating and breaking and continuing on causing damage. Frangible
right,
ammo, when it comes in, think of it as like it just explodes, like vaporizes, right? And they said they
mhm.
found a bunch of small pieces and people are like, well, where's the original bullet? Well, if it's a frangible round,
It's fragmented
it's
into
fragmented
pieces.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And that could explain why multiple vertebrae were damaged when he got hit in the front. So there's a lot of things about that frangible ammo information today that kind of changes things if that's true.
So my question to you is, so, like, with my husband being ex-military, he says that the front looked like an exit wound to him.
Yeah, there's a theory about that. So it does look like an exit wound, but actually it doesn't look as bad as an exit wound, right?
Mhm,
Exit wounds typically are much bigger and like shredded and ripped, right?
mhm,
Because the bullet comes out and all that pressure and everything is going out unevenly and it rips and tears. We didn't
mhm,
really see that. We saw almost like a perfect little hole sitting there, right? So what a lot of
mhm,
people think happened, if
mhm,
it's frangible, even if it wasn't, they think he got
mhm.
hit, that all that cavitation happens, tons of pressure and everything gets liquefied and damaged, and then it bursts back out of the same hole, the entry hole, because it couldn't go through past the vertebrae. So all that pressure built up and then came back out of the same hole again. So that's what some
Is
people
that
think.
possible to you? Do you really think that's possible? Even with a
Well,
frangible bullet?
in so the frangible piece, so hitting the vertebrae, hitting multiple vertebrae
Mhm.
makes sense with the frangible because it breaks on impact
Right,
and it made the hole going in initially, right? But
right.
that hole is typically the same size as a regular round. It's not usually big like that. But
Mhm.
all that pressure built up in there, we're talking about, tons and tons of foot-pounds of pressure building up in that place. It's gonna go through the area of the least resistance, which was the original hole that was made. So
Okay.
that's why some people think that it would burst out of that same hole.
Now, what if okay, so what I kinda wonder, and this is just me, I'm always thinking about this. I always said, "What if multiple things happened at once so that we could never pinpoint exactly what happened?" Like, what if the electrocution happened and so did the shot? And, you have all these people in the crowd doing all these different things intentionally so that we're all looking in every direction and we can never really pinpoint exactly what it was. Because unfortunately today we have all of these square objects everyone carries. This isn't like JFK, right? Where we just have like the news footage. So it would make sense if there's just a million different distractions and a million things happening simultaneously, and then no one can pinpoint that one thing. Plus, with my medical experience in arterial bleed, that's gonna go everywhere. And the way the wound, the flow of the blood coming out to me wouldn't have been like that unless his heart wasn't beating,
Unless it was
in
his
my
jugular
opinion,
vein and
you
not
know?
his unless it was his jugular vein instead
Yeah,
of an actual artery.
right.
There's
So
huge jugulars going all through there,
yeah,
tons of veins,
right,
and the blood was darker as well,
right, it was.
which isn't consistent with arterial blood.
No. So, it's just weird. It's just interesting to see maybe there was multiple things at once. Because it's interesting too, there was only one shot. So, then you have Tyler's grandma, I think, came out. Didn't she say that he actually didn't have his grandpa's gun and that he was not into guns, he was into fishing? So, how did he shoot this gun once and successfully kill Charlie Kirk? It just those are things that don't add up for me.
I'm working on kind of like a Tyler Robinson, I guess, biography or something
Mhm.
type of video. It's not like a
Yeah.
full documentary, but as I'm digging into it, his father was police and taught
Mhm.
him how to shoot. His brother shoots and is very
Oh,
good at
okay.
competition, and he's hunted his whole life. That's
Really?
what I found so far. And if you look
Really?
on social media, especially for his parents, there's tons of photos of him with guns.
Really?
So I don't think this like I think it was Valhalla was saying, if you look at this, he said, look at this kid. You think this kid could shoot a gun and do whatever? Well, if you go look through his history and look at his social media and that kind of stuff, yes.
Yeah, the looks don't matter. I mean, if the family was raised on hunting and everything else, you know?
Well, look at
Uh,
Thomas Crooks. Thomas Crooks doesn't look like some kind of tough guy, military shooter. I mean,
right,
yeah.
right. Well, and I think that's intentional too. I think they know to pick people that don't maybe seem or look like your typical could pull this off type situation. I think it's another way to have people blend in, like, oh, it's just like this normal, you know what I mean? Just normal person. I don't know. There's just so many odd things about this to where you can't say that it's not really a conspiracy of that we think something odd is going on. And I also think the court system here, and this is what I've been trying to talk to people about, is when you say, I did this, and you write a confession at the police station, after that, there's no reason to have a trial and waste tax dollar money because you've admitted guilt. So you have an arraignment, usually, that person pleads in it, guilty, not guilty. And then after that, they arrange a sentencing hearing. There would be no need for a jury. So where is this confession? Then you have the police that lost the footage of him walking in to confess. That is a very secure building, a police station, I would hope. One of the most secure, right? How do you lose that footage? And then they say, "Oh, well, we don't know if the tapes like rolled over each other, like recorded over each." I was just blown away by that. That is so bizarre to me.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to pull up some of those images of him with the firearms. All right, I shared my screen there.
See, someone in my chat said he's pleading guilty, he didn't confess, but they keep saying he did. I don't understand why we wouldn't.
I've heard
Yeah.
both, so we don't know.
But okay, look at Brian Koberger. You went to an arraignment and he said, "Yes, I did this." And then they ask him, "Okay, this person, yes. This person, yes. You did this, yes." Where is that? Why didn't that happen? Why are we skipping steps that we would do for any regular person? If you or I ever went out and did something, that would be the process. What happened to the judicial process? It's weird. And the excuse of, oh, it's gonna like taint the jury pool. I would love for them to be able to find 12 people that don't know who Charlie Kirk is and doesn't have a clue about any of this. The man had memorials all over the world. It's bizarre.
Can you add that
Yeah.
screen share to the screen?
Yeah.
So if you look in here, these are some of the pictures of Charlie, or not Charlie, of Tyler. So like this one here, that's him as a kid with a gun.
Oh,
Here's him
wow.
posing with bazookas, posing with a full like big machine gun. Um, there's one more where he actually has an AR. Where is it? Right here. So he's shooting an AR-15. So
Oh,
all
wow.
these people that are saying, "Oh, he wasn't around guns. He never did anything with guns. He's just a little country boy or whatever." Like that's all false.
Oh my goodness.
And anyone who shot a gun, including my children, can easily make a 2 or 300-yard shot on something that's like a 6-inch, 6-inch gong or
Yeah,
something,
that's what they say, yeah.
and he's at 140 yards. So, I mean, the fact that he's spent time shooting guns and hunted and stuff, and his dad taught him how to shoot, I don't think it's out of the question that he could have easily done this shot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's I've never seen those, that's bizarre, and why is no one's even I don't even think I've seen anyone even bring that up. It's just weird, it's all weird, and then I found it weird too that they said that my other thing about this whole thing was when they did the search warrant, when they're actively doing a search warrant, they do not release the person whose residence that they're doing the search warrant at, right? And if they think Tyler Robinson did it, why would they release Lance Twiggs so fast and during that search warrant? Well, then the parents went over there after. I think Jesse on Fire is the one who talked about this. And the locks were changed on the apartment. And there were all these things planted all over the apartment, supposedly, that were like not normally there, that were very odd, the parents said.
Interesting.
And also, I don't know if you've seen Jesse on Fire's video where he talked about, I think he said he knows someone in the police department who said a lot of them have never, or several of them, I don't think have seen Lance Twiggs before. And a lot of people don't even think he's real.
They said that about Tyler until his court date the other day, so
So, and why haven't we seen Lance Twiggs? Why wouldn't we rule out Lance Twiggs? Why is it like just, they're so quick, it's just Tyler Robinson and that's it. And that's weird to me too.
well, I think what the narrative is pushing is that Tyler Robinson took the shot. But as far as who was involved and who was behind him and who supported him and who knew about it, right? Because there's all
Mhm.
these forum posts and Discord chats and things where they
Yep.
knew about it ahead of time.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out who else is involved. But as far as him being the shooter, as of right now, everything makes sense. But here's one thing that I have to disagree with. They said his DNA is on the gun. His DNA would be on the gun if he owned the gun. Like my DNA is on
Right.
my guns. So that doesn't
Right.
mean anything.
Right. Yeah. If I steal it, your DNA is still going to be on the gun. See, I don't know what to think. I don't think he acted alone. There's no way. There's just no way. George Zinn and his pants falling and all that stuff is so bizarre. That was a whole other thing. Also, did you find it weird with the screwdriver, with the reassembling and assembling? What was your opinion on that whole situation?
So initially they said that happened and then they walked it back later.
Right.
And then they also said later that it was like the electrician or whoever was on the roof that worked there left his screwdriver up there. And then at one point they actually said that his DNA was on the screwdriver too. So I mean, their story has changed multiple times.
Now, did you ever look at any of the court documents?
No, I just seen what. So basically, when other people present on it, I kind of
Yeah.
like watch and absorb it, but I haven't taken the time to go through the whole thing myself.
I wanna take the time and go through it myself, but I watched Ian Carroll go through some of it, and so it was interesting to watch Gary, when he was in the TPUSA interview, say, "Oh, if you go through the court docs, it all makes sense," but from what I listened to when Ian Carroll went through, I believe it was Ian Carroll, it doesn't make sense. So, it's like one of those things where you kinda do have to do a lot of your own legwork too to really figure it out, because there's just so many conflicting stories, there's so much conflicting information, and, I don't know. I don't know what to even think about the rifle. Now, do you think it's likely a 5.56 that was used?
I don't think that it needs to be. I mean,
Okay,
like I don't think we need to go down in caliber to make it work.
okay. So you still
But
think possible 30-06 if it was frangible.
if it's frangible, if it's not frangible, then it doesn't make any sense.
Got it.
It would have just went straight through.
So why are we just now learning about what the surgeon actually, this is so bizarre.
because
Well,
COVID lied about it, and Candace says she found some sources or talked to someone that heard this other different information from that doctor.
hmm. I just think that Colvette is, this is my opinion, the only way for them to try to save themselves now is, I think, to throw some people under the bus, right? Because it's just gonna look like, "Oh, well, we never gave Brian Harpool permission to do the Sean Ryan show." You know, we didn't give Colvette the right to go and post that tweet. We didn't tell him that information. He just assumed, or and then they can kind of like take the heat off of a couple situations that don't add up. But come on, guys. I mean, who's buying that now at this stage? Who's buying that?
I mean, maybe going through that document for court would be a good show. That might be a good live. Go through it and try and poke holes in it.
Yeah, I definitely want to go through it. I can only imagine how many pages it is.
But yes, Apprentice Adulto, Candace said that the surgeon
Mhm.
said that he thought it was possibly fungible bullets based on what he saw because there was fragments and multiple vertebrae were broken.
And obviously she hadn't had any access to autopsy, anything. None of us still have any clue what the autopsy supposedly said. This is just the surgeon at the hospital.
And this would have been, I assume, pre-autopsy.
That's what it sounds like. Now, what is your thoughts on the burial? The Catholic cemetery and Erica saying, "Oh, you basically gave out where he's buried essentially by giving out some information." Do you think he's really buried? What's your thoughts on that? Because that's another interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think he's buried. And like a lot of people think they're gonna monetize that somehow. Like
Oh,
make
I've
a big
seen
event
that.
out of it and charge admission and, you know, sell
That's
sell the book.
crazy.
You're right. Sell the book that she's trying to push and all that stuff at the event. But yeah, and then like the hand, the showing, people are saying that the hands look fake and they look yellow and all that kind of stuff. But I've talked to multiple people, and one of my good friends was a mortician for many years, for like 30 years,
Mhm.
and he says they look perfectly normal. He said they get yellow and they shrink after you die, and if you have a shitty mortician who like dresses
Coloring's
them up and
bad.
embalms them, they end up being more yellow because they took too long to do it.
Right.
Whether he's
Well,
buried or not, I don't know.
I think the dye matters too, so depending on your skin tone when you were alive, like, they can use different colored dyes to make you look more pleasant, in so many
Yeah,
words, depending on certain things, and so if you get a mortician that wasn't very experienced and didn't, you know what I mean, use the right color dye to kinda,
or colorblind.
yeah, yeah, to kinda help it, then you can come out looking yellow. Well, and the lighting in the funeral home probably doesn't help and everything else. But my thing was, if you were worried about, the grave being desecrated, and people were ruining memorials, why wouldn't you just cremate them?
Yeah,
That's the weird thing for me, if that was a concern, because anybody who has time, it can go to a directory at a cemetery and read through the directory. You know what I mean? Like, in Arizona, I guess if you're that bored in the, close areas, and read through the directory. I don't think there's a way to really keep that private per se, you know? I think eventually it would have been found out whether Candace said Catholic cemetery, not. I'm not even caught up in the Catholic, was he becoming a Catholic? I don't even care about that stuff. Um, I really think it's interesting Erica peddling the book after, we went from shirts to now we're on to books, and I don't even know how much of that book is actually his writing, when he said he was leaving the pro-Israel movement, but yet that is so bizarre to me, the Shabbat Shalom and all
yeah.
it's just all very bizarre, and nothing that they're doing, with the, shut up, don't ask questions, that's not even something Charlie would endorse.
Now, wasn't Charlie saying? I heard he was signing off with like his last several podcasts that he did with Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I heard he was saying it. Like it's not a new thing that just Erica's doing it supposedly.
I wonder if he was just doing it just like you said, as like a sign off, and it was like not, I don't know, like the intention behind it that they're trying to peddle. with it. You know what I'm saying? Um, I
Well,
don't
one
know.
person was saying that obviously he was starting to pull away
Mhm.
from the nation state, right? And he was saying that they were bullying him and he wasn't happy with the donors.
Right.
Now they're doing the opposite.
Right.
I say, no, he was super into them. He was 100% pro them. He was, everything he wanted to do was them.
Mhm.
So they're overcompensating, and that's very strange to me.
Yeah, I think everybody who oh, this is even crazy. So when Barron was talking about what was he talking about? Shoot, I can't even remember. Where I think it was like footage and talking about the hand signs. People started to talk about hand signs and they were like, you got to start looking for signals. So you start to look back in footage because you're like, was Dan Flood ever making these signals that we saw that day? And they took down the Prove Me Wrong tour. So, like, if you go on the Charlie Kirk show and you look at his YouTube, the only thing that's missing is the last year. So, 2 months up until today. So, since he passed till today, and then 2 years on, but you're missing that gap. What is in those campus tours that they do not want us to see?
Yeah,
You
what
don't think that's
messaging?
weird?
Hmm.
And then she also, Erica, in the beginning, I'm sure you remember when she said on the Charlie Kirk show, it was like a week or two after when she was going to, when she was announced as CEO, she said, well, we're not going to post on his Instagram because that's morbid. But it's not morbid for them to be posting their nonsense on the Charlie Kirk show on the YouTube channel. Shouldn't that have been memorialized too?
Well, I'm posting her crying over his dead body with a microphone and video rolling, right?
That was so bizarre to me. I actually couldn't even believe that was there because first off, I'm weirded out by funeral homes, and my dad passed away 3 years ago suddenly, and I remember, like, my mom and my brothers I think it's, like, an Italian thing or an Polish thing, like, they take pictures of people in their casket. It creeps me out. I didn't want pictures. I was in disbelief. Like I said, my dad died out of nowhere, and so, I would never wanna look at those pictures, but posting them online, I can't even imagine, like, why would you that is, to me, so personal. I can't get over it. That was really bizarre. But people were talking about her hand size over his. Like, why do her hands look so monstrous when his hands were so much bigger? So I guess it's like, do your hands shrink that much?
Yeah, because you're losing all that fluid, and that's why the skin looks waxy as well because there's no fluid in it.
It's just weird that your hands would shrink up that much. And
I mean,
then
I don't know if we can really tell the true size because it was kind of like a fisheye lens.
mhm,
So, I mean, to be able to measure it is kind of difficult, and it's also like a really weird angle.
mhm,
So, if it was like a 50 millimeter lens that saw like we do, it might
right.
be easier to tell. But I think it's kind of an illusion.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that the iPhone, because even when my husband and I were talking, even about as far as like that day, the footage, like when you listen to the gunshot, my husband's like, it's never going to sound like what it actually did there because it's shot through an iPhone. But my husband did say if it was a 30-06, he's like, you would fall to the ground. Like you would know that thing would sound like a bomb in that area. It would be
That,
ridiculously loud.
that's what Andrew said last night in the interview. He said it was very loud. He said it was a very loud, obvious gunshot.
Yeah, I remember him saying that on, I can't remember that something wild podcast. I remember him saying that he felt that it sounded like a 30-06, that he felt like that. Um, but I don't understand if Mikey and them didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, Blake Neff ran super fast. That's a normal reaction. Dropping to the ground like Frank Turk, normal reaction. To turn away and walk and never look back.
That's what Andrew did. Andrew Ferrazzi, the cameraman,
Mhm,
he does something similar. He's holding the camera, the
mhm,
shot happens, and he kind of like looks up, and then it kind of like he slowly backs away, right? Like
mhm.
he doesn't like take off and run. He doesn't like drop to the ground. So I don't know. It might be like that fight or flight. Some people stay in place and they're shocked and kind of frozen, and other people just take off.
I'm from the South Side of Chicago, you run. You know what I mean? Like, I've been at the Taste of Chicago and gangs are at each other, and I could tell you that I was out of there so fast. Like, I was in a mall one time and it happened, and me and my mom were out of there in the fastest fashion we could have been. So for me, it's like we're out of here. You know what I mean? Like there's no, when you hear a gunshot, it's, so I think it's interesting that people would just walk. Maybe I could understand freezing and having that moment of what's going, you know what I mean, shock, but to just turn around, pivot, and just walk and just stay walking and never look back and never even try to aid your friend. Or what about the not calling 911? Blake Neff and Mikey McCoy never call 911. You wouldn't even call 911 first?
The security team didn't either.
No. So there's just too many things that are really, they just don't sit well with me. And I'm hoping that not everyone had a heads up, but I think that some people, in my opinion, had a heads up. People knew. I don't know if it was like, hey, we're going to do this and you're going to go with this, or, the threatening that goes on. I don't know. I don't know what to think. And the car today, that was odd. The RAV4. There's just a lot of odd stuff. The flights.
What was odd about the RAV4? Just the fact that FBI agent was in it, or what?
Yeah, that she said that the FBI, I guess, like they used it, and there was like stuff in the back seat, and it was really odd. I was like I took notes because I was like trying to get ready to get on live, and then I had a house fire 4 days before Christmas last year, so I was trying to finish up this paperwork I had to do, listen to that, multitask. But yeah, so essentially it was like someone in the white RAV4 allegedly flashed an FBI ID while driving somewhere after the assassination. It's just weird. And the whole like car thing and getting rid of the car and then not having the car insurance. There were so many different things. It was just really odd. And
So
then
undercover agent says when the shot was fired, not a single person looked in the direction of Tyler. Surely that's no small thing. Andrew talked about that last night too. And Audio Freak Matt has also shown that there were tons of reflections everywhere. I mean, that place is hell if you want to try to figure out where something came from. Like someone could probably, be right next to you and fire a shot, like in the middle of it. And everyone around is going to look different directions because it's bouncing off of all of the walls. The mock cone going through,
right,
multiple surfaces at once, and they're all bouncing different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I wasn't. If it was just a building in like an open field,
Mm-hmm.
then I think people would look straight at it. They would have known immediately. But the fact that they're in a bowl
I
that
see
has,
what you're saying.
like it's like in a valley,
Right,
and tons of hard surfaces to bounce off
to
of.
echo off of, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that the location was probably on purpose. I really think there was a lot of obviously thought that went into this for probably a million different reasons. The echoing, my husband did say, like, the echoing that will go on is a big problem too. And what else I'm trying to think, because I watched Andrew's first interview. I'm gonna have to watch your interview with him because I'm curious now that the dust is settled a little bit, if now he's starting to really recall things, you know what I mean? Rather than like so soon when he jumped into that interview. You know what I mean? You're still trying to digest, like you were at this event and this happened. I'm sure he's traumatized. That's horrible to even have to be a part of that. What ended up happening after, obviously, because everything happened with Charlie? Is he still working with TPUSA, or they just said, hey, we don't need you anymore? Or what ended up happening?
I think he decided to not continue.
So he just felt like it was better to take a step back from them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, I don't think TPUSA is going to be the same. I would be shocked if it survives. I also think that the way the campus tours have been going, it's great that they've had Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly on, but no one debates like Charlie. It's not even the same concept. It's like a Q&A, in my opinion, more than a debate,
Well, now they're putting it in every school in Texas, every high school in Texas, and every high school in Tennessee is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I didn't even hear that. Yeah, I know. Who was the first state to do it? Was it
It was Texas,
in
I
the
thought.
Midwest? Or no, was it Texas?
I think
I
Texas.
knew somebody.
Yeah, I think the governor or the mayor made it like mandatory that all the high schools have to allow like a chat chapter. Yeah, TPUSA
Hmm.
chapter.
And did you think so remember when Blake Neff read off that little statement before when they were trying to get Candace to come there in person? He said that Eliza, Mikey's wife, does not plan campus events, but she's the director of events on
Correct,
their website.
correct. But I've been the director of a company before,
Mhm.
and I had people under me that planned the events. I just was in charge of those people, so it could be something similar.
Good point. I didn't know how that I've never done, like, any kind of events coordinating. I come from the medical field, spine and neurosurgery, medical device sales, so I would have no idea how that runs. So that's good information that, there's probably people below her and she
They
may not
Yeah.
have anything
They
to do
usually
with
hand
that.
it off, like, the coordinator is typically gonna handle, like, the financial piece of it, and then
Mhm,
make sure they have enough actual manpower on the ground, but then they
mhm.
hand it off to other people, and those people go on site and do everything they need to do and handle the process.
Did Andrew say who he interviewed with, like, who hired him? Was it Eliza that did that? Because well, I don't know how that would work because it's an event, but
We did ask him. I'm trying to remember what he said. I don't think he named a specific person. Yeah, I don't remember him naming a specific person,
okay. I just didn't know if he said who hired
but
him or
he said it wasn't McCoy's wife.
it wasn't. Okay. That's interesting. And I wonder why, because they already had photographers. Oh, so this is the other thing I saw in that interview, and I'm sure he talked about this with you. What did he say to you about the drones?
He didn't see any. And he said that security and the events coordinators were all basically saying, like, "You can't have them." He wanted to put his up, and they said he couldn't.
Yeah, that's what he said in that first interview. He said that he wanted to put his up and, they said you needed a special approval for that, and he actually did say he wanted to do it regardless, but he didn't wanna get in trouble, so he didn't. And I remember him saying, "I wish I would've because maybe I would have seen something," but it is sad. Um, I don't know. That's horrible. I just can't imagine.
Let's see, DFC, Matt seems to be running cover for the official narrative a bit too much. Well, you have to
I
take
don't
the
think
evidence
so.
you have and you throw out anything that doesn't work. So if you watch my channel, I've hit basically every theory
You
and
really
from every
have.
angle. And I try and even if one doesn't seem to work, I try to do everything I can to try and make it work.
Mhm.
The official narrative works, right? But there's pieces of it that are sketchy. We don't know who did it. We don't know who's working with them. We don't know who set it up. We don't know who allowed it. We don't know why security didn't cover the roof. Like there's 1,000 different pieces to it. So when you say I support the official FBI narrative, which piece are you talking about?
Well, okay, so with the official narrative, I think the only thing that you're saying is if that's true is that Tyler Robinson was capable of taking the shot, but you don't believe that he acted alone and you don't believe that he was necessarily the reason behind it, that there were other people, things behind
He
it.
was groomed
Yeah,
by someone or something. Yeah.
right. If he's the one who took the shot. And all you've said is that, listen, this is him. He was raised around guns. Here's the pictures on the internet.
And now with frangible ammo coming into play, that makes it much more plausible, right? That doesn't mean there's a 100% chance that if you shoot someone with a frangible round, that every single time it's going to stay in the body and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But same thing happens with deer. I mean, you can shoot 100 different deer, and some of the bullets stay in the body and some don't.
So what do you think the point in repaving everything was in the putting new sod down and everything else?
So, I mean, sure, it could have been a cover up, right? Like if there
Yeah.
was something funky going on, but it could be because you have to remember the FBI and the SWAT and
Mhm.
CIA and local UVU police and or Orem police and all that stuff were there right away. And they were there that whole day and that whole evening, cataloging everything, taking pictures, doing all that
Mhm.
stuff. So if they're done with that space in a day or two, because it was like what, 3 days later, I think.
Yeah, like 3, 4 days later, yeah.
Yeah. So they had 3 whole days to
Mhm.
take pictures of that small area and do what they needed to do, and they could have said, "We're done. You can clean the blood up." Right? Like, it may have been as simple as that, and then the, campus was like, "Alright, let's clean this up and make it presentable for the students," because they all got traumatized.
Now, the only thing that I wonder what that is, the construction company, I thought they came out and said that they were reached out to over the weekend.
And they worked on a Sunday, which we
Right.
know that doesn't happen
Right.
in that part of the country. They
Right.
don't work on Sundays, so
They said that.
that's
Yeah.
sketchy. Yeah.
So to me, that's a little bit weird. And the only reason I think you would want to do all that work, like you can clean it up without redoing the landscaping to look essentially the same, you know? And when Ian Carroll was there, they were removing the big concrete planters. So to me, I was like, well, this would make sense if they were looking for a bullet, right? Any kind of evidence left that they can't find.
Yeah, I mean, I still go back to with how big the police presence was and having the full FBI behind it and President Trump and all that kind of stuff, everyone behind it. They had basically endless resources, right? So,
Right.
I mean, I don't because I've seen some of this stuff. I've seen some of these crime scenes. I have friends that are police officers and
Mhm.
military and all that stuff. They typically have all that stuff cataloged and dialogue within 24 to 48 hours. So it got paved over 3 days later. It doesn't seem crazy to me that they paved over it because they would have
Okay.
already been done, found everything they could find. They use metal detectors. They have dogs that sniff for that stuff. So, I mean, it doesn't seem out of the question that it could just be that, they had what they had or had what they needed. And they said, you're clear to do whatever you need to do. And the campus chose to try and clean it up.
Right. And the emails from the campus, from what I heard, is that they were essentially like, we want this done fast, because they felt that it was probably traumatizing to look at. I think you're right. A lot of people who do police work say that apparently it is that quick.
That's why it's
I
called the
just
first 48 hours. That's why that show was called that. In
Oh,
the first
really?
48 hours, if they don't find all the evidence and everything they need, and they don't find the person in that first 48 hours,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
many murders don't get solved.
Right.
They move quick.
Right. I personally always thought it was interesting that Cash Patel even inserted himself, being that he has a personal relationship with Charlie. I
Yeah.
don't think that was professional. He should have allocated that to, or what is that what they call it? Allocator. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. No, there's another term for it. When you're too close to, the case. Allocute, maybe that's what's called. Something along those lines. Where you let someone else take over because you have, you know, personal relationships with somebody in the case. So I thought that was weird. And we didn't need Cash to fly out there and do all this stuff. Also, it's a state case. So
So why are the feds there?
why are the feds there?
Yeah.
That was always bizarre to me. And not to say anything bad about Charlie, but he wasn't a politician. He was an activist. The
I
whole
mean, he
thing
did
was
help.
bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, he helped get Trump elected. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he was up there with the big wigs and all the
Oh,
popular kids,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. But still, it was still odd that Cash would insert himself that much.
And take credit. Remember, he took credit for them
Oh,
finding him and them being
yes.
such a great
Found him in
organization.
33 hours, and
He
I
turned
was like,
himself
"Well,
in.
you didn't find him, he turned
Yeah.
himself in. So, you didn't do such a good job." And Phil Lyman, that whole situation with his nephew, "Oh, we're gonna go walk the trail," that was weird. The campus owns that empty house. Why do they own the empty house where the rifle was found propped up against, turns out, the chicken coop? It wasn't even in the bushes. It was in someone's backyard. It's just very weird. That's
Someone
weird. The
someone
getaway
said the
car.
land or the house that he went to or was wherever they found the stuff at was like Palantir, belonged to Palantir or something weird like that. I have to dig into it more, but that's what I've been hearing.
Really? I didn't hear that part. I knew that the house next door to where it was found is owned by the university, and they said it's always been vacant, and we really don't know. We're assuming after this happened, did Tyler just, like, lay in his car, parked in it, like, the car parked on that side road and just sat in there until when? Because he didn't go home that night.
He was a DQ. He was getting a burger and a frosty.
Right, but you mean to tell me that law enforcement wouldn't shut all those roads down and start taking IDs and asking who you are, why are you know what I mean? Do you live on this street? Like, that would be common sense stuff, right?
So I'm trying to quote Andrew Ferrazzi. So I asked him, I said, did they ask you, did they, so they brought him into a room, right? Like SWAT came and they put everyone in rooms and they were basically trying to make sure everyone's safe, locked down the campus, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I said, at any point, did they question you guys to see if you were part of it? Because you were right up front,
Yeah,
right next to him. Did they question you? Did they ask you if you were, were they trying to see if you're a suspect? And he's like, nope,
you're
nothing.
kidding.
Yeah. So it's kind of strange.
Well, that guy that was Andrew that you interviewed, he even said that they never asked him for his camera until he said, "Hey, do you want my camera? Do you want my photos? Do you want my photos?" And they said, "Yeah, just stay over here." And would they put him in like a closet? They had him and like other people in like a closet or something.
It was
But
yeah, it was in a room. Yeah.
but he kept pushing like, "Do you want the camera? Do you want the pictures?" They weren't asking for them.
Mm.
And there's another person that was on TikTok. I talked about with the planter where he was like, "Oh, they use facial recognition. They recognize my face. They end up showing up on my doorstep and they say that I'm part of a gag order. You can't share any of your footage. You can't talk, whatever." He also said that they never asked him for like the videos on his phone or anything. They just said, "You can't share them. You're gag order. There's a gag order. You're a part of the gag order." What? You showed up on the doorstep just to be like, "You can't share anything you know, but you don't want the footage?"
Well, think about how many people were there. There was one picture that showed probably hundreds of people. I mean, because remember, there's like 3,000 people there.
I was gonna say it was like 3,000 total, I
Yeah.
think they
So
said,
there were
3,500.
hundreds that had their phones out recording when that happened.
Mhm.
Where's all that footage?
I've said that from day one. I'm like, "Where is all this footage? How does this all go missing?" And I don't think when they had that first hearing with Tyler Robinson, I don't know if you watched the Julian Dory interview, but they did an interview about her being at the first hearing for Tyler Robinson, and she said he could barely speak and say his name. He looked drugged. His family wasn't there. Um, and she was saying that just the fact that how not what the program he was alarming. And they say he's on suicide watch,
Hmm.
all these different things that was weird. And she talked about basically similar stuff, just people that weren't asked for anything. She went into all kinds of it was a really good interview. Um, it's bizarre. I don't know how we have so many people that don't have footage that they share on social media. I have a feeling they did share it, and I think they're doing a lot of suppressing of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I think.
and then the one guy said he went out. I don't know how true this is because he's kind of disappeared. But the one that said he had that video footage that he saved on his personal stuff first. He had backup hard drives, and then he says one day it was just gone, like it
Oh,
got
I saw
deleted off
that.
his phone.
Yep,
And then he
I
said a
saw
bunch
it.
of other people have said similar things.
Yeah, so he, I think, originally went on TikTok, and he was actually saying, like, if something happens to me, like, I've put this on several other devices because when I had it on my phone, it kept disappearing.
I think he said also he got contacted. I think he went on a show. I think that was the order of operations was he went onto a show and talked about it, and then shortly after
Mhm.
that, he got contacted by the FBI a couple times. They're like, "Hey, you should delete it because it's going to cause PTSD. You shouldn't have it on your
Yes.
phone." And then eventually, it got deleted off, but luckily, he'd already backed it up.
Right, that is what happened. They told him you need to delete it. If this was I think they use the term, like, if this was your friend or someone you really cared about, it would give you it's just gonna give you PTSD and make, you really upset after you've already been through this trauma, and the next thing you know, it's just, like, deleted off of his phone. And actually, he was on TikTok, and he was asking to get this to Candace, so everyone got it to Candace. Well, then I asked him if he wanted to do an interview, and he said, "Yeah, I do. I'll do an interview with you on your podcast. I wanna get all this out, before, God forbid, something happens." And all of a sudden, his TikTok was gone. No one has seen him since. People have written on my TikTok, and they're like, "Is Ryan okay?" That was his name, Ryan. "Is Ryan okay? Is Ryan okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know what happened to Ryan. Ryan is gone. Can't get in touch with him, can't find him anywhere." And
Hmm.
he was doing the same thing, I think, on X, and you can't find his stuff anymore, him at all. He's completely gone.
Diamond says cameras always fail to work during these type of crimes. Yeah, just like the Brown University shooting. They have like 800 cameras on campus, yet none of them caught the shooter. How convenient.
Also, I still can't believe we don't have somebody for that.
They said they have a new person of interest, but it looks just like a regular dude walking down the street. But that could be who it was.
Well, did you see the initial reporting that morning? They said they had a person that they had to release, and the wording that they had was very odd. They were like, "We had to let him go for now because they." I'm. It was. I can't remember how they said it, but it was like, so you think it is the person or it isn't? But they basically were saying, "Oh, we don't have enough to like hold him." And they're not sure if he did it or not. And I was like, if you even remotely think this person did it, why you would never let them walk? He's going to
Well,
disappear.
they must not have had true probable cause then.
Yeah, they must have had it was very bizarre, but I was like, still, I it was weird that they let him go. And isn't it interesting too, UVU, and I wonder if it's the case with Brown University, but isn't there some kind of government funding that you apply for, and that's how UVU had all these like 4K, like insane amount of cameras, basically? I forgot what it is.
I mean, it could be, but you also have a lot of private donors. So I don't, it's hard to know which piece went to what, who paid for what.
I gotta dig into the Brown University shooting because I'm curious to see um, if it was like why it was targeted to begin with. I don't know the details of it. Um, I was sick the last couple days, so like I was trying to take a breather for a little while, best I can. But I don't know how they don't have somebody for that either. It's amazing we have all these cameras, all these phones. Nobody knows anything. Um, And don't you find it interesting too that a lot of these people that are at these events all have some kind of like kitty, what issues on their phones? It's
Mm.
like the backgrounds are bizarre. They're tied to like other big things like 9/11 interviews, Sandy Hook, like all these different it's bizarre.
Especially Zen.
Yeah, he was like what at a 9/11 interview like right after 9/11, and I think he was at Sandy Hook too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's like a
Think it was.
crisis actor.
Yes. And there were more than one crisis actor that people said were in the crowd. And I don't know where I saw this interview, but I think it might have been TikTok. They said that students from UVU were saying that as they were walking around, they didn't see a lot of students they recognized that day. It wasn't like familiar faces. A lot of people didn't look like students, things like that. So that was kind of weird. The people that the news chose to interview, most of them were, well, the one was like, didn't she have some relationship with Phil Lyman, basically? Like her family, or she was tied to politics, I think, in general. Just the people they chose to interview it didn't seem very organic. Like they didn't try to go out and find actual students. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It
And
seemed
actually,
very orchestrated.
I don't think any of them were students, or most of them weren't.
No,
They
that's
were
what
full grown adults.
yep. And that was weird. And someone just said Candace never attacked Erica. She actually defended Erica. What at first from her own fans. Erica on Turning Point started to exposing Turning Point. I think it's interesting that Erica still is not addressing the audits. If we're not going to talk about the Charlie Kirk murder being odd, why are we not addressing the financials?
Well, and the IRS isn't even investigating them. They said they're not going to. They said there's no reason to.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yep.
hear that.
Yep. That came out from, I don't know if it was Trump that said it directly, but the IRS says that they are not investigating TPUSA.
That baffles me. I think Wolves in Finance did a really good breakdown of the financials. So how are they going to say that they're not even going to look into it?
I mean, so Wilson Finance had some good information, and he definitely gets people pumped up about stuff.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in his video that he showed that shows anything illegal, right? It's just like I call it creative accounting. right? They're moving money around to different places and doing different things. Now, there could be something there,
Right.
but like he said in his video, says it himself. He's like, I'm not saying that he did anything wrong and there's nothing illegal.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, like, you can take donor money and invest it into the stock market and do all these different things. Like, I really would have thought that that would be illegal, but it's not, which is
Yeah.
mind-boggling. I guess it's not really morally right, in my opinion, when you're a nonprofit. Um, I thought that was interesting. I wonder how much of that Charlie realized, because I think he had to have known. That's why he ordered the Doge audit, and them not going along with the Doge, I think, says everything too.
Well, and he
There's
also moved Tyler Boyer from TPUSA as the CFO over to TPUSA Action as part of that before he started the audit. So he knew something.
So you think he thought Tyler Boyer was at the root of that?
I
So he
think he
moved him?
placed it. I think he put him in a safer place where he couldn't cause as much problems until they figured out what was going on from the Doge audit. And obviously, they've canceled that audit since he died.
How much do you think Charlie knew before he passed?
That's a good question. Some
Mm,
people think he knew everything. Some people
okay.
think he was like the Godfather, like the gang leader. Like he was the mastermind behind everything. And other people think that he had nothing to do with it and he was innocent and he just had suspicions that something was going on. And those suspicions are part of what maybe got him killed.
I find it hard to believe that Charlie would know all that and do nothing. I just don't. I mean, I guess I could be baffled and dazzled by him for all this time, but with the way he was, his morals and values, I don't, from what I seen, I don't think he would bamboozle people like that, right? So that's weird.
I've been
Um,
surprised before.
yeah. Well, that's what I tell people on my page. They're like, "Oh, you're very respectful about, like, trying to talk about both sides." And I said, "Guys, because at the end of the day, we don't know. Stranger things have happened, right?
Yep.
Like, it crazy stuff happens all the time. Look at the gold pagers. So, like, for people to say lapel mic can't blow up, I mean, my brother and I had a talk right after it happened, and he was like, "Do you remember when that I think it was a guy was in, Dubai. I think it was Dubai, and remember Mossad got in and out of the hotel, and they couldn't figure out how they got in and out of the hotel room and locked the door and everything?
Yeah.
We still don't know who did that." And I'm like, "So if they could do stuff like that, we have no idea what they have or what they're capable of." To say that there's not a drone that can do that, I think the technology's there.
Well, we haven't seen half the stuff they have, right? They're way ahead of what they actually released to the public.
That's what I say. Yeah, I definitely think there's stuff we don't know about that exists for sure. Beyond. We'd probably be mind blown if we knew. And
I'm gonna
also,
have to
I think
jump
they're ahead of
here
us.
for anyone else. If you haven't seen the Fallout series on Prime,
Mhm.
you
I'm gonna
have
write
to go
that down.
watch it.
The
It is
Fallout series.
Fallout. So season one was already out. It ended like last year. I think there's like 8 or 9 episodes. Those are amazing. And then season two just started yesterday. So I'm gonna go watch season one with my wife here in a minute. But
Oh, nice.
but
Well,
ma-
thank you for popping in and
yeah,
talking. That was a really good conversation. I'll definitely watch the interview, and I'm sure everyone's gonna go watch the interview. You do really solid work. I will say that Allegeist, like, you could ask my husband. I was like, "There's no way," and it was compelling. I was shocked when I walked away that I was even like, "I'm a little scared that I may think that this is possible." So
well
you
he
do
wants to
awesome
come
work.
back on now, and he wants to do Butler, Pennsylvania,
Oh my gosh, that
because
would be so
he has a
good.
theory. Yeah, he has a very he has the video already on his site on
Oh,
YouTube.
really?
But yeah, it's
Huh.
already there. So if you want to go check it out, you can kind of see what he thinks. But he wants to cover that. But
That'll be
everyone,
a
make
good
sure you
one.
guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit that
Yes,
like
guys.
for Patriotic Housewife. And if you want to come check me out on Trigger Smart, it's just at Trigger Smart on YouTube. And it's been really fun having you here. Thanks
No,
for.
thank you so much for coming on, and we'll hopefully get together again in the future, and we'll see what all this stuff brings, but I'll definitely watch, the interview tonight, and, I look forward to when you interview Allegeist. I'll wait for him to actually come on and go over everything with you, because they're good interviews. I'm telling you.
He's very convincing, very sharp.
He's very sharp, like,
Yeah.
so smart to where you're like, you know what I mean? You kind of feel when you walk away from it, you're like, "Oh, man, like, I'm really lacking in the physics department for sure."
Well, and he shared with me who he actually is. and I've seen the scientific work he's done, and
Mhm.
he's figured out and solved physics problems that no one else ever has. So
Get out.
I mean, he's legit. Like, people think he's just kind of like an actor or whatever, or just a
Mhm.
smart guy who says he's a physicist. No, he's legit.
He's extreme. I mean, it's apparent he's extremely smart. So, yeah, I was really impressed with him, and I didn't even know about him until you. So, I don't think a lot of people really knew about him. I was like, "Who is this person?" I just happened to watch it, and I was like, "Next," and there was a long interview you did with him.
Yeah.
It was like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go to bed." I didn't even realize I got carried away with that. So, you definitely do good
Dude,
work, and I, like, again, appreciate you coming on. That was awesome.
just real quick, he was supposed to do Jesse on Fire, and then apparently he already interviewed. They already made the video, and then when Jesse went to post it, I guess it got demonetized or something, so he pulled it back off. So you might see Al Guys here shortly again on Jesse on Fire, but I don't know what he has to do to make that video YouTube friendly.
That's weird. But yours was posted fine, right?
Well, demonetized doesn't mean you can't post it. It just means you won't make money off it.
Hmm.
So like the first, I've done 3 videos with Al Guys. The first one got demonetized. The next 2, we were smarter and made sure we didn't talk about things or show things that would get demonetized.
Yeah, I haven't had anything come up to, like, get me marked any, like, demonetized, and I'm just now starting to be monetized, so I'm just now getting into that, and I'm like, I don't wanna do anything to get myself in trouble, but, I haven't had any problems so far, but I have to really look into the rules because I don't really wanna be getting myself in trouble either, so
It's mostly visuals. So if you're not
is that
showing a
what it
bunch of
is?
images and video, you don't really have to worry about it.
Well, that's good to know. So, yeah, we'll see what Jesse puts out. I actually, I wouldn't even mind talking with the Allargeist either, but I would probably not even be able to keep up with him. I mean, he's just way smart. So, but we'll see. We'll see what Jesse asks him. I'm curious to see if, because everyone's interviews can sometimes, as
Pull
people
out different
interview
things.
people, yeah,
Yeah.
everyone has different questions. I actually might be interviewing Josh Peterson, the whistleblower from TPUSA,
Yeah,
ex
I think
employee.
he's doing a lot of channels. Like, he was on
Yeah.
Didi Got a Podcast, Billy and Brandy. The only thing I'm worried
Yeah.
about with that is, like, is there any actual new information coming from him? Because he's already done 2 interviews that were, like, 2 hours long. So it makes you wonder, like, is there anything else actually to pull out?
So so that's my thing is I plan to ask maybe some hard questions and just see what I get out of it. Like you said, you can always record and see how it goes. But yeah, you definitely want to get more information and have different, angles than other people. And think it seems like a lot of it is very vague. So we'll see if he's willing to kind of answer some hard questions and open up a little bit more to really give us a good idea of what was going on, which I totally understand to be scared. So we'll see what happens. Um, but it's brave to come out and talk about it anyway, because I mean, we just watched what happened with Charlie. So I'm
Alright, well,
praying for
awesome.
everybody. But have a good night with your wife. Enjoy the show. I'll watch it. And then I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Alright, have a good night, everyone.
Have a
Thanks
good
for having me
night.
on.
No, thanks. All right, guys. That was awesome. That was so random. Yeah, Matt is great. He does some great work. I've always watched his stuff. He has great, great, great interviews, very informative interviews. So I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Sorry if I didn't read through questions. We obviously had a guest, but that was awesome. And he really does, Diamond. He explores every possibility. He's not one to shut any one thing down, and I think that that's fair. I think it's fair to say, "Hey, let's look at all of this objectively," right? It's very important that we do that. So, that was awesome. I thought it was a good conversation too, just to even see where, his head's at, you know? So, that was awesome. Yeah, the conversation about the weapons that, like, we just don't know exist we'd be mind blown by that, you know? Let's see. I'm going to try to backtrack a little bit through questions and then we'll hop off tonight. Uh, let's see. I hope Candace is playing chess. Otherwise, I lost all hope. I hope so too. She seemed very much more put together today. She gave some really solid information today. I just think she needed to breathe a minute. You really think CK really unalived? I personally think he is, but I'm much like Matt. I mean, I you have to be reasonable, and I will tell you, you should go to watch that interview that he has on his page because it was very, very it's long, but it is very compelling. It will make you question everything, I promise. It did me, and I was totally against, like, there's no way. I have never seen Matt personally attack anyone. Me neither. He's the nicest. Yes, that was quite a good live, Nicole. You scored a good scoop there. Thank you. That was fun and so unexpected for him to just randomly be like, "Yeah, if you wanna have me on, like, just give me a link and I'll hop on." That was awesome. I don't even think he was planning to, do a live today. I think he was kinda just popping in and hanging out for a minute. Let's see. CK being alive explains everyone's behavior, but I just can't see why he would agree unless his family was in danger. I agree with you. I don't think that goes with his morals and values. I don't see him doing that either, but it's not impossible. I don't I nothing would surprise me. I'm like Matt, nothing would surprise me. Just look at all different avenues, you know, trim the fat as they say and keep the meat and then go from there. And I think Matt does really solid work when it comes to doing that. So honestly, he was the best person to have on here and talk because him and I think are very much alike in that matter of, just being reasonable. But I think CK being alive is way more plausible than the magic neck theory. It would explain some of the behavior. I think it would go with everyone not crying so much and the grieving not being what everyone expects it should be, if that makes sense. But you never know. But you're giving up your family and your children though, because it's not like he could walk around anywhere in the United States and no one would notice it was him. Follow what I'm saying? And I don't think Charlie would give up his life. I just don't. Let's see. Alekai's explanation makes more and more sense with everything that happens on the daily. It does, Julie. It was a very compelling interview. And he is crazy smart. I'm talking crazy smart. Let's see. I think he's not alive, but those hands looked small for a 6'4" guy in Erica's video. Yeah, they did look small, but what Matt said makes sense. It does make sense. I've seen morticians and people talk a little bit about that. And I know about the discoloring and the dye that they put in to try to make your skin look normal. And it depends on like your natural skin tone. So I knew about that part, but I didn't know about the hands shrink. But I mean, it makes sense. You're not alive anymore. There's no fluid. You don't have water weight. He's not alive. It was a money grab for TPUSA. I can't believe that they're not even going to question and look into auditing. That's bizarre. But Charlie was married to Erica, which is very shocking, questionable of his character, in my honest opinion. We don't know the full story yet. There's other theories that I kind of have when it comes to Erica a little bit, but I don't know that I want to break those down. Not tonight because there's just so much there. But maybe another night we'll talk about like other theories that would make sense a little bit or make it make a little bit more sense. Let's see. I feel like you focus on the chat the whole time. People who are too cheap to do a super chat or whatever don't necessarily merit any attention. Praise gosh. Well, of course, if people send in super chats, I do read those first because people did, you know, pay to have the chat read, and it does help my channel. But I also understand that we are in, hard times, and that's okay. I don't expect, everyone to send in a super chat or to donate to the channel. That's okay. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't doing the right thing. I think he's still alive. It's anything's possible. And why would FBI cover up for a fake assassination for the sake of a couple corrupt pastors? I don't think it's just a couple. About the hands, I think Matt might be right, and it is an illusion from angle of the camera. It is possible. Yeah, definitely with the iPhone, for sure. He is dead. Sadly, we have good hookups at the hospital, and my family member's assistant used to be the assistant of the suspect's mom in St. George. Really, Clint? That's interesting. Yeah, that's sad. I personally think he's really gone, unfortunately. But I don't think we're ever going to know that. More than likely. We'll see. The whole thing was orchestrated for a reason. So it was to create confusion. No one can actually figure out what's going on. It was intentional. So let's see. Why do you think CO said I'm alive after the meeting? I find that weird. Diamond, I think she said that because people were saying, "Are you okay?" You know, they were worried about her if something happened to her. Let's see. He asked really good questions last night on his live with Andrew. I don't think Andrew was the killer, but I also don't think he's innocent. So I'm going to have to rewatch that, or I'm going to have to watch the interview tonight because I watched the interview with Andrew, the very first one he did after everything happened. And I thought he was very genuine. Thanks. Have a great night. Have a good night. Sadly, we will probably never know the truth, but I do believe he's gone. Yeah, Kelly, I think it's unlikely, I'm sorry, it's likely we may never know the truth. It's very likely. Let's see. Cleaned up the crime scene pretty quick. Um, they did, and it didn't really sit well with me, or I don't think a lot of people, but just as Matt said, I've even heard from law enforcement that, they get everything they need pretty quick. I mean, I wouldn't have rushed to do that, but let's see. Sharonda, oh my goodness, this is heartbreaking. Doing things in Jesus' name. Wow, this is so confusing. You have to be careful who you look up. The devil. I don't know what you're talking about. Um, Israel's the only reason the FBI would cover up. Let's see. The FBI Cash Patel blew this credibility on this only. Yeah. So, yeah, Dan Bongino resigning that is telling in itself. That's concerning. I've stayed off of X today, so I typically that's where I would have seen that information. I have really tried to stay off the internet for the most part today. Um, so um, it's very interesting. Let's see. Trying to catch up with the okay. Our governor ordered the construction. They didn't follow UVU policies for that type of construction projects. Okay, Clint. I mean, I don't think any of that is surprising. I still think I understand wanting to, get the blood up and stuff, but to go and totally that fast rearrange was a little bit weird with the quickest quickness. They still have the Roof sealed off at UVU. Laugh out loud, no concrete poured there. Let's see. Dan has been a dead man walking since the e-files debacle. Yeah, there's a lot happening. This is really today is I feel like the last couple days has been wild. Between Candace meeting with Erica, that was arranged so fast. I was telling Kristen, I was like, by the time, you know, she figured out that this had to happen and it was going to happen right before this meeting. Everything was so rushed. I don't even think Candace had the time to collect herself, realize, hey, this is happening, get everything together. It was all so rushed. And it was done on purpose, I think. And then it's just coincidental that now everything is like everyone else's fault and they didn't know Andrew was going to say this. They didn't know Brian Harpool was doing an interview. How do you not know anything that the people that work for you are doing? It's just really bizarre. It's like all to blame someone else type situation. So we will see, guys. I think we will see. We will see what she presents tomorrow. I wonder if she'll do a live on Friday, Candace. I don't know that she will. Just for the fact of I think she used to take Fridays off and we'll see. I don't know. Arranging was fast and now seems weird. Why not tape or live broadcast? Candace preferred a live broadcast, but you have to get Erica to agree to that. And Erica wasn't going to agree to that. So it was either her go and get her questions answered or lose that opportunity. And then it still would have been her fault. The public would have blamed her. So it's like, see what I'm saying? It's a catch-22. You're wrong if you do, you're wrong if you don't. So I don't think Candace could win regardless, unfortunately. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. We've been at it for almost 2 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. I thought it was really good today. It was really, really awesome to have Matt on. That was a great little surprise. I enjoyed the conversation. That was great. I loved getting his take on stuff, seeing where his head's at. It's always nice to talk to level-headed people who are kind, and he really is super knowledgeable. So I appreciate his opinion and his conversation for sure. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate that. Thank you, Diamond. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. I think we all were taken by surprise. That was really good. But Matt's been awesome. And then Coach Colin did a shout out today to the channel on his videos. Coach Colin's always been super kind. Yep. Yeah, he has a great channel. So if you guys can and you guys have a little bit of time, you're just going to lay around, maybe just throw up the Allegeist interview and then we can talk about that another day. That would be an interesting one to go over the take of Allegeist, but he has some really good information. That was authentic, so thank you. No problem. I was not even expecting that. So that was just me and Matt just shooting to shit, as they say. Just talking about what's going on in the conversation and even the Tyler Robinson photos. I was shocked. I have not looked those up. I haven't seen anyone talking about those. So that was interesting. We got a really good insight into the possibilities tonight. So that was good. But hopefully everyone gets some rest tonight. Relax. Do what me and Matt are going to do. Go spend time with your spouse or your kids. And I will see you guys all tomorrow maybe I'll go live after the Candace show tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe we'll do some chatting tomorrow. We'll see how Candace's show is. Maybe I'll hop on here for a little bit. Just depends. But I appreciate all of you guys being here. You guys are awesome. And I'll have more videos posted tomorrow. I'll do the Rob Reiner update video tomorrow then, since I didn't get to go over it in the live today. It was so much better to be able to talk with Matt and go over the case. So I'll do that video for tomorrow and we'll see what else comes up in the Charlie Kirk case. So all right, y'all. Have a good night. Get some sleep. Talk to y'all tomorrow.